Well, Bryn, we are in for a treat, aren't we?
We are. We've been so excited about this next guest.
I know
Yes.
we really have Butch Patrick, actor extraordinaire and iconic
Musician.
musician,
Yes.
iconic classic television star, played Eddie Munster, and we're just thrilled to have you on the show, Butch. How you doing?
Oh, I'm fine, except, excuse me, you're speaking of Butch Patrick, my counterpart.
Oh my gosh!
No, it's me, Butch Patrick.
Oh,
Yes.
we are just thrilled to have you and
Thank you.
on the show. And everything's going good for you. You're just every time we check out anything that you're doing, you're always busy. You're out there doing stuff.
Well, I'm very, very lucky that a long time ago I played, obviously Eddie Munster, and I grew up in a period with great music, great entertainment, muscle cars, the 60s. I was very, very
Yes.
blessed in my window of life being born in 53.
Yes.
But it's funny, you deal with the cards you're handed and dealt, and I've been lucky enough to be able to figure out a way to do three things that I love, which is meet people, travel with hot rods,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and get out and basically see Americana. So it's like,
Love it.
I'm on the road constantly, as you mentioned, with my Munster cars.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're sneaking up on Halloween, which is always my peak season. But I'm busy the rest of the year. But Halloween is kind of like the coup de grace.
Right, right.
Yeah, that's definitely your peak season. Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about these cars because been checking this out online, and it's just exciting.
Well, a couple of things the Munsters had, other than the makeup and the Universal Monsters and that connection, we had George Barris, the king of the customizers back in the day, supplied us with his first car. He had done some stuff for 77 Sunset Strip prior to the Munsters, but the first actual physical family car that was integrated and instituted into a show was the Munster Coach, which was part of a storyline that Lily had a Herman's birthday present was built, and she delivered him this Munster Coach, which became very iconic. And then
Yes.
later on in the season, they had an episode where Herman loses the car at the drag strip, and Grandpa then builds a second car called the Dragula to
I
win
remember.
back the car. So now we wound up with two George Barris vehicles, and
Yeah.
I have one right now with me. I also have built an Eddie Chopper, a Harley Davidson, but I have another Munster Coach that'll be done in the spring. So I have Munster cars, and I go out on the
Cool.
road. I've been doing this summer. I've been working with drive-in owners around the country because I was a big fan of the drive-in growing up as a kid. But there's
Yes.
only about 400 left out of nearly 5,000 in the heyday. So I've been
Yes.
working hand in hand with mom and pop ownerships because they're all owned by people that bought the drive-in as a labor of love to keep it alive for the community.
Right.
And we've been working hand in hand to come up with special events and ideas to help them add another revenue stream and show
Love
a
that.
screening of Munster Go Home and a kind of an impromptu car show out at the drive-in. And it's been it's been a lot of fun. I mean, it's really great to see kids that have never been to a drive-in come out for the first time.
Oh, it's what a
That's
wonderful
terrific.
experience it is, and
Yeah.
we've got one just down the road in an adjacent town, and you're right. There aren't that many of them, and they're just very unique and
Yep.
just a one unique experience.
Yes.
Yeah, it really is. It's so good too because there's safe spaces. Basically, kids can come out, they can run around, they get off
Yeah.
the iPad or the iPhone for a while. It's just it's neat because the grandparents and the parents, even the parents, because I'm 72 now, so a lot of the parents that are like in their 40s, they had forgotten going to the drive-in. They remember they went when they were a kid,
Yeah,
but the
it's nostalgic.
grandparents remember it. So you get this multi-generational thing, but. The kids love it. It's a little freaky, but there's nothing like a sunset and the stars come out and the movie hits the screen. And by the
Yes.
time the movie's over, they're usually ready, all tuckered out and ready to go home if they're not sleeping already. 'Cause
Yes.
that's how we used to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Take our jammies and go to the drive-in in the station wagon.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. Well, when I was a punky teenager, we used to try to sneak in the trunk. Don't do that, kids.
Well, yeah, that's kind of like a rite. There were a lot of rites of passages at drive-ins.
Well, that's true. Indeed. So, Butch, that's exciting that you're doing that with the cars. Now, I have to ask you. So, where's Woof Woof these days?
I have one down in the truck with me right now, but I have.
Really?
I was just with Mike Westmore, and this is another thing about the Munsters that made us so good was the Westmore family, who were basically Hollywood royalty. Every member of the Westmore family headed up a studio at one time or another in the 40s and 50s and 60s, and Mike Westmore was my makeup man, who was Bud's nephew and Purse's nephew. So Mike created the Woof Woof doll, and I was just in Las Vegas doing a documentary. He requested my presence, and of course I made it out there. And I brought the Woof Woof doll to our dinner, and I got some great pictures with him holding it now, 60 some odd years later. You know.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, he created Woof Woof, and I've got 4 variations of him, and he's very iconic. He's almost like a sixth cast member.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. Now you're continuing to keep this legacy alive. I know you do a lot of the tours where people can meet you and talk about things, and you're also running the website, correct?
Well, I own Munsters.com. I bought that a long, long time ago, probably almost 35 years ago now, and I do have an official fan group, a Munsters Officials fan group, and I do have the Munsters.com website as well. So, yeah, we have a little store there, and we put up some stuff when I'm out and about, and a lot of there's like some history about the. I also wrote a couple books about the Munsters, and so yeah, you can get to the Munsters if you remember Munsters.com. It'll lead you down a path of a lot of good Munster information.
A great rabbit trail. Awesome.
That's right,
Love that.
and all of your appearances as well.
Well, you know, I worked from 60 to 74. I was never an actor. I was a kid that stumbled into the business accidentally. I could handle dialogue, and I wasn't intimidated by the process, so it worked really well. And I looked younger than I was and acted older than I was, which is the perfect fit for Hollywood because they love it when you're mentally 18 and you look 8, but you're actually 12. So. Right. When I turned 19, 20, I never really wanted a career in acting, so that's when I started phasing out and gearing myself up towards more like the race. I wanted to be a race car driver. That never panned out, but I still enjoy the races and going to the drags. But I always loved the muscle cars, and that's why my Munster cars are actual, real, hot rods, race cars type of thing. They happen to be. They look like a Munster car, but they're built on racing chassis.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so exciting that you get to carry on that passion that
oh
you've
yeah,
had
it's great. I mean, it's very unusual. People will say, "Oh, do you ever get tired? Do you ever feel bad about being pigeonholed or known as Eddie Munster?" And I go, "No, not at all. I mean, in Hollywood, you're lucky to be remembered for anything, especially something of a positive nature, family friendly, 60 years iconic, huge fan base, and." When you sit and you get to the table, one of the things I always enjoy about what I do is I've lived everywhere, and I've lived in small town USA, and my stepdad was a pro baseball player, and my friend invented the funny car, and so we always find some common ground. But the best part about it is people always come to the table in a positive energy. The show meant so much to so many people that you literally, without knowing it at the time, I had this extended family that people really were. We were part of their family on Thursday night after dinner. They sat down, they watched the Munsters, and they actually enjoyed it. And we came across as, although we were monsters, we came across as a functioning family unit that people loved.
Yes.
Yeah, and you were literally in the homes of so many millions of people, which is beautiful.
It was a big thing back. Only 3 channels and black and white TV, and somebody would be on the roof, turning the antenna or holding the rabbit ears, and the remote control was the youngest in the house.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, that was me. had to move those antennas. Now you were surrounded by also what a wonderful gift to be surrounded by all these stalwarts of the industry. I mean, all these people that you could really just soak in their knowledge of your craft of acting as a kid, because Fred Gwynne, Yvonne DiCarlo, Al Lewis, all these, and many others, because you were on so many other television shows after that, right?
Well, people speak of Fred Gwynne so highly, as they should, and then sometimes a lot of time when you're a kid, you don't really appreciate what you have until later when you look back upon it. It's just the nature of being young. But now when I look back, and how people always speak so highly of Fred Gwynne's talent, which he was, and he taught me so much. I wasn't really aware of it at the time, but just because we had father and son scenes and father and son episodes, and they wrote a lot of Eddie episodes where I was always volunteering him for something and he never wanted to disappoint. And then mom would always, be the go-between. But literally I was working with such great talent that it rubbed off on me a little bit, I think. And he helped me, even though I never took any acting classes. I think I was accidentally taking a master class without knowing it.
Yeah. Absolutely. And like I mentioned, I mean, you were on or you appeared in a lot of television shows after that. People think of you as Eddie Munster, but you were on a
Yeah.
lot of shows back in that era, right?
I did off and on like 5 series. I did the first month of General Hospital when it was ever on, the first episodes ever, which was kind of cool when you think about General
Yes.
Hospital.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like the longest running thing ever, or
Yes.
was. And then I did a last year of the Real McCoys, and then I did the Munsters, and then I went over and I did 10 episodes of My Three Sons, because Mary Grady was my one and only agent, and her son was Don Grady, who was Robbie. So I did some work with the guys at My Three Sons, and then I did this Saturday morning crazy, wacky show the summer I turned 18 for this company called Sid and Marty Krofft.
Yes.
The wonderful world of the Sid and Marty Krofft, and I did Lidsville with Charles Nelson Riley and Billy Hayes. So in 14 years, 5 of those years were on series, so that was pretty cool. And then we did a bunch of movies and commercials, and I had a nice run. I had a very cool run through the 60s and early 70s, and it was just a great decade to be part of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're a musician too, right?
I'm more of a Munster Manili. I wrote the lyrics to Whatever Happened to Eddie, and I did have a little bubblegum career in 71. After Bobby Sherman was let go, they tried to replace me at Wentworth Media Records, and I told them that I don't sing. And the producers of Sugarloaf, the managers of Sugarloaf, they were my studio band. And we went on American Bandstand, and I actually headlined over Loggins and Messina, lip synced my way through the thing, and
nice.
Had a great time being a rock. We were like a rock star for 6 months and went on the road, but didn't sell any records, and that was the end of that. But when Whatever Happened to Eddie came out, MTV had just come on the air, and I wanted to be a VJ, but those jobs had already been filled. So we decided to be rock video producers. And I wrote the lyrics to Whatever Happened to Eddie, and we did a video. And the neat thing about that video was it was the first unsigned act ever to be on this newfangled MTV, which, if you remember radio and back in the day, the music industry was very much pay for play. So if you didn't have a record deal, you didn't get airplay, and you didn't get any exposure. So that particular video went on an unsigned band, and from that they came up with an idea called the Basement Tapes, which was a show about bands that had made their own home videos that didn't have representation. So I'd like to think in a small way that maybe we help launch a few careers.
Yeah, the indie acts, and absolutely. That's great. Now you're still involved in production, and from what I read, anyway, is that correct? Just even recently, right?
You're always involved. I mean, I do a lot of indie movies. People reach out to me. I try to accommodate them. It's kind of like pay back or pay it forward, however you look at it. And the industry has changed a lot in the technology that allows you to make a movie for $10 or $15 or $20,000 today if you're creative. And I like if someone thinks enough of me to write a script or a character for me, and the content's decent, and it's not exploitation or this or that. I try to accommodate them whenever I can, because it's almost like an honor that they thought enough of. They watched the Munsters and got them involved in thinking about making movies. The least I can do is try to help them out and show up for a day or two, and I do that. So I do about 3 or 4 indie movies a year.
That's great.
Very good. Yeah. And you're approaching the busiest season with and we are so thrilled. We have told people here in the area that we were having Eddie Munster on our Halloween show.
That's exciting.
And it really is exciting. And I'm just so happy that you're still doing the things that you love to do.
Carrying on this legacy.
It's very interesting, because I got the best of both worlds, because I can tell people who I am and then they'll see it, but they don't really recognize me. So I can walk through an airport. I can go about my life. But the Universal monster genre back in 1931 with Frankenstein, literally back in the day, each studio sort of had a specialty. MGM did musicals, and 20th Century Fox did disaster movies. But the monster studio was Universal. They made, Dracula, Frankenstein, Mummy, Werewolf, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And today with Halloween, when you think about it, what used to be a one-day-a-year deal when we were kids to go trick-or-treating has turned into Halloween Horror Nights at Universal. Every theme park, for a whole month now, haunted mazes and haunted houses pop up all over the country. And to think that it all goes back to one studio, which then we were evolved from the Universal Monsters to a series in the mid-'60s. And thank God we were in black and white, because it was the right genre, and it was the transition to color. But the thing back there, that this huge Halloween juggernaut that we now know is basically goes back to what I was doing as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sure does. Yeah. Well, thank you for continuing to carry that haunted torch. We appreciate it.
Okay.
in a joyful way.
In a joyful way. That's right.
Okay. Well, I'll have to get to Nashville. We'll go on a little we'll go down and see the Johnny Cash Museum or the House of Cards or meet at Sinatra's.
Absolutely. I was at the grand opening of the Johnny Cash Museum. I don't know if you were there, but I'm sure we've crossed paths at some point, and we would love to connect in Nashville sometime. That would be wonderful.
Yeah, it's a great town. Love it very much. I get there, and I definitely will keep you guys in my Rolodex, so when I get there, I'll give you a little warning.
Yeah,
we would love
that would be great.
Yes.
Well, Butch Patrick, thank you so much for being on Swanky Southern Nights, and we appreciate you and your work and everything you're doing today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Hi, this is Butch Patrick, and you're enjoying Swanky Southern Nights with Mackie and Bryn.